At least baseball now knows they're going to play. And the great former Penn Charter great, former Kansas City Royal, Los Angeles, Anaheim, Disneyland adjacent Angel, and broadcaster with the Angels Club, Mark Gubicza joins us right now. Hi, Gooby. How are you, man?
Hey, Tony. What's going on, man?
I don't know. Where are you in California or are you back east? Where are you? You hunkered down out there?
I'm in California, L.A. area. In San Fernando Valley, as a matter of fact.
Oh, beautiful, man. Now, are you wearing a mask right now? Because I know Governor Newsom wants everybody to wear a mask like 24/7.
I'm not in my house, but when I go out, I definitely do.
All right, so you heard the news the other day, Mark, about baseball's finally coming back. I mean, it was an absolute disaster, as you know. You're a part of it. You're watching it. Were you disappointed the way this thing shook out and it took this long to get to something that everybody knew eventually would happen, which is the commissioner was going to make the final call?
Yeah, Tony, the whole time I was thinking, okay, there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to play baseball. And then a few days ago, I'm thinking, you know what, I'm not so sure anymore. But I know there was, back and forth between the owners and the Player Association. I went through a number of those, including missing the World Series opportunity in '94 and then missing some games in '95 and other work stoppages. Well, we haven't seen that in such a long period of time. You would think that was going to be taken care of quickly, especially under this environment we're in right now. But that being said, it's a 60-game schedule. Is it perfect? No. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. That's what I'm taking it as. It's going to be a lot of fun to see. Every single game is a playoff game. All 60, from the first game to the final one. Every team has to think of, this is like the 7th game of the World Series. We can't mess around. We can't give up any games because, if a team gets hot for a short stretch, you're going to get to the postseason, and it could be a team that no one thought would be any good. And next, they're in the postseason. So I don't love it, but where we're at right now, I'm excited about the fact that there's going to be a baseball coming up here July 23rd, 24th.
Mark Gubicza. Now, Mark, obviously you know Mike Trout. Everybody thinks they know Mark Trout. I know he comes back to Philly for the Eagles season. But out there are very few people who know Mark Trout as well as you do. I mean, you're with him all the time. What's the story with him now? Because I know he says he's going to play, and I know he's having a child. Did they have the baby yet? That's the first question. Because people were wondering about if they started playing during the pandemic, would he play because he has a child coming and all that stuff? What's the latest on Trout?
Well, the baby's due in August, early to mid-August, and so no baby yet for Trouty. Jess and Mike, are super excited. I text them all the time. We talk quite a bit. I'm seeing Trouty playing. I mean, when he put out there along with everyone else when and where, that tells you that Trouty wants to play. And I think with everything, all the protocols are going through, that everyone's going to try to do the best they can to make sure everyone's safe, and not only the players themselves, but everyone in the stadiums and when they go home to their families and friends. So, I think, if you want to think in terms of baseball numbers, I mean, he's has a chance of putting up an incredible numbers this year. In a short period of time, 60 games, may hit 400. You just don't know. But Trouty will be playing as far as I know, and I'm giving him his space right now. I didn't want to say, hey, man, are you playing right now? We just found out this basically baseball is coming back. So I assume Joe Madden said this yesterday in his press conference that what he understands, everyone's going to be ready to go. Shohei Ohtani's already pitching, and he's going to be on the mound as a starter now for the Angels. So a lot of things going forward as far as that. It should be a very positive season for the Angels.
What do you think about some of the tweaks that they've done, and making the DH in the National League now, and if games go to extra innings, the team starts with a runner on second base, things like that?
It's interesting, that's for sure. I mean, there's going to be old school play. I mean, I grew up in Philly, so I'm a National League guy initially. Then I became an American League player playing for Kansas City and the Angels all these years. I would much rather see Albert Pujols or Shohei Ohtani swinging the bat than me swinging the bat. That's for sure. There's going to always be pushback for that. You're going to see the DH anyhow eventually,
right.
Whether it's going to be next year along with this year, but after 2021 when they have the CBA is expired, that's going to be part of baseball. And it's all about getting the excitement of a home run hitter as compared to a pitcher up there potentially running the bases and getting hurt. So I think that's going to happen. As far as the runner, this is one of the tough things. I understand why they're doing this because in such a short, condensed schedule, and especially even a short spring training, the pitching is going to be, at a premium. So you don't want to have long extra inning games. But boy, I'll tell you, how would you like to be a pitcher coming out of the bullpen? They put the guy at second base, and you get 3 outs and never give up a hit. Yet that guy somehow comes around and score on a ground out, a fly ball, and you get the loss. I know it's not an earned run; it's not going towards your ERA, but a loss is a loss. You never want that as far as your record. A number of things that we saw that in the minor leagues, trying to experiment with that. That part of it, I'm still a little bit old school. I think determining who wins the game, all the way through to the end. I mean, yeah, it's a long game. Yeah, it could go 16, 17 innings, or whatever it is. But I'll let it slide this year. Put it that way. And we'll move forward. But I know it's not going to be fun for any pitcher at that moment. The cool thing about it is a manager may now be more apt to bunt. We don't see any bunting anymore in baseball. Get him over to third, fly ball, scores him. That you might see that more often than anything else. And you also might see the strategy of, hey, let's walk the first guy, set up a potential double play ball as well. So strategy comes into play if that comes about. There's a number of extra inning games last year, so we'll see how many there is this year as well.
Mark Gubicza. Did I say Mike? Did I say Mark Trout instead of Mike Trout?
I think once.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. I did that once too, and he reminds me of that all the time.
No, because I'm talking to Mark Gubicza, and I said Mike Trout, and then people are now hammering me. I didn't even realize it. I know who Mike Trout is. I know who Mark Gubicza is. How would I not know it's Mike Trout?
Yeah.
Why would I call him Mark Trout?
Believe me, I've been called Mike about 1.5 million times. And in my opening game in Kansas City, they called me Mark Gubicza. So I'm always okay with every once in a while everyone messes up a name.
I was watching that Joe Biden town hall the other night. I got messed up, too. It happens to the best of us as we get older, except you, Gooby. You still look good, man. Still look young and fresh out there.
Oh, just try to stay afloat.
So what? So you're going to have to go down to. So they're going to go down to Anaheim, because they're going to practice at Angel Stadium, right?
Yes. Now I don't know if we're going to have any access for anything down there for that. Whether we get a chance to kind of go through a walkthrough as far as the game, if they're doing a scrimmage game down or not, we'll wait and see on that one. But as of now, it looks like we'll do all the home games, in our normal booth. And on the road, though, at least on the TV side, we'll be doing games in our studio, which is down towards Staples Center in L.A.
What do you think the effect of empty stadiums will have on the quality of play? Anything?
That's a great question. I know a lot of us will say, well, we played in front of a lot of empty stadiums in the minor leagues, so it's not all that different, but a lot of these guys have been in the major leagues for a long period of time. I've personally fed often positive and negative, support you get in fans. I mean, at home, you love that energy you get. On the road, I love when going to New York or Boston and they're screaming at me and they're screaming about my mom's maiden name and everything else they knew. So I use that as far as motivation. So it will be difficult, but I think everybody makes adjustments. And I talked about this earlier today when, remember, everyone's talking about the 20-second pitch clock. There's no way where anybody's going to do that. Well, they did it in the minor leagues. The guys got used to it. It was the norm for them. Remember, hitters had to stay in the batter's box that one year, and a couple guys complained about it. But everyone just gets used to what the new norm at that moment is going to be. And I'm a huge fan of sports, and I love going to games. I still love going to games. I go to basketball games and hockey games as much as possible, some football games as well, especially when the Birds are in town in L.A. or even Arizona. So I love being a part of that fan base. But, that's just the way it is right now. Things will change at some point, but players will make that adjustment.
Mark Gubicza with the Angels out there in San Fernando Valley. I thought you'd be an OC guy. I thought you'd be living down there in the OC, Gooby.
I got a little escape pad down there too, Tony. But my kids all went to school here, and I'm comfortable in the San Fernando Valley. I know it is a long drive, believe me, going down there every day. But no, although the traffic isn't as bad anymore, so maybe it'll be a little bit better for me.
Yeah, but it'll pick up again going down to the OC and down to Anaheim. No, but I did mention that Disneyland announced. I know you're not at Disney. Well, you don't. When the Angels were part of Disney, you probably got free passes. You probably still get free passes. I don't know if you're a big Disneyland guy, but when Robin and I lived out there for 11 years. We always went to Disneyland because from our house in Venice, it was like a 45-minute drive.
Yeah, I mean, I love going down there, like when they have it decorated up for Halloween and Christmas time, because that's usually the times I'm off, obviously. But I mean, I always like going there. And then, you know, when the kids get a little older, it's like, you know, don't you guys still want to go? Yeah, we do, but we don't want to go with you anymore, Mom and Dad. So I'm waiting for the grandkids at some point. My oldest daughter got married. She's been married for a couple years. So once that goes around, I can't wait to go back down there myself.
Who do you see as a major challenger for the New York Yankees, who are the favorite to win the American?
You know, I mean, Garrett Cole at the top of the rotation for the Yankees. There's still a lot of question marks in their rotation. You know, the Astros are still going to be good, even though they're dealing probably still a little bit more of the residual stuff from during the offseason. The Minnesota Twins are really deep. You know, Tampa Bay is strong itself. I think the Angels, with Ohtani being available from the get-go in this shortened stretch of 60 games, I can't wait to see Anthony Rendon. You guys saw him a lot over the years playing for them. I can't wait for him to play in that Angel uniform. I saw him a couple games in spring training, and I got to know him and talk to him. This guy's unbelievable. Yeah. He is I never seen anybody like him where he has like no pulse in those big moments. And a lot of times people, you know, try to do too much. He just is relaxed as can be, and their everyday lineup is as good as anybody in baseball. So if they can just get enough pitching, their back end of their bullpen is pretty deep, especially with a 60 games and 66 days where you can't just have one closer. You might need a number of guys to be able to fill that role. So they're pretty deep down there. So the Yankees are the team to beat in the American League. Probably the Dodgers, you know, their talent as can be overall with even their minor league system is very deep, which may come into play more so than normal. But when you have a stretch like this, I don't think you can ever say anybody is a favorite. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what even from afar how the Phillies do. I mean, I still think their everyday lineup is really, really strong itself. Generally, World Series champions have that little hangover effect. I don't know if that still comes into play for the Nationals now that it's been so long since they've played a meaningful game that it's wide open. Braves are really good over there as well. So, and the Cardinals are still strong in the NL Central. But it's going to be fun. The playoffs are going to be the key. If it's a great run, I told somebody this the other day. 1980, the Phillies and the Astros playoff, that NLCS, was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yep, absolutely.
So if you have a couple of those series in the postseason this year and then carried in the World Series in a similar World Series, nobody's really going to care that it was a 60-game schedule. It's going to be like, wow, what a playoff this was. So I look forward to that. And I'm always an optimistic guy, so I think, if we have something like that, I still get goosebumps talking about that 80 playoff series. I mean, every game almost went extra innings, and it was incredible.
Weren't you in high school back then, Mark?
Yeah, I remember running back from hanging at my friend's house and going, okay, they're not going to typical Philly guy that I am, thinking, oh, okay, they're not going to win. So I'm running home. And we were listening to some Kansas, Carry On My Wayward Son. As a matter of fact, that's how crazy I am still remembering. And here they go. They come back and they win that game. And, you have so many great role players on that Philly team that actually got them to the World Series. And being there with my dad for Game 6 when they closed it out against the Royals and then being drafted by the Royals that very next spring was pretty funny.
We're getting some people on our Twitch stream here, Mark, watching the show. And one guy, Duncan Dad, says he has that tops-rated rookie of Mark Gubicza on the Royals. I wonder what that's worth right now. Do you know, Mark?
Probably like 13 cents, maybe. I'll be optimistic. I'll say 14 cents then.
Now, do you have a Mike Trout rookie card? Because that's got to be worth a lot of money right now.
My son has a few interesting Mike Trout cards. He's a big card collector himself, so he's got that, and he's got one of two Shohei Ohtani rookie cards. So he's got pretty lucky.
Now, is he going to play both positions, Ohtani, this year, or are they going to just use him as a pitcher?
No, he's going to do both. He's going to pitch once every 6 days, and then he'll hit DH probably 4 out of the 5 days in between. So he'll be ready to go. I'll tell you what, I saw him in spring training. He looked so strong, and he was throwing the ball pretty smooth and easy, but now he's ready to go as far as a pitcher. So you got that so-called ace of your staff right now. And it's fun to be able to, for us right now as broadcasters, we're going to be talking about him being Babe Ruth all over again like we did 2 years ago when, he had a game where he threw against Oakland, where he had 5 pitches that were topped at 100 or 101 miles an hour, and then that nasty split. So it's fun to watch, and he hits home runs like 450 feet. You have him, you have Trout, you have Rendon, you have Albert Pujols still doing his thing, and Anderson Simmons at shortstop. There's a lot of fun things to talk about, and this kid Joe Adell is going to be a special player itself too. At some point, whether he makes the club out of spring here with a 30-man roster remains to be seen. But there's a lot of intriguing players, I think, especially some of the guys coming now in this short season. But maybe you don't worry about saving a little energy in the tank there at the end. It's a full-out sprint for 60 games.
Well, we have breaking news here just coming in from these Twitch streams, so it may not be official. It says MLB has just announced that the man placed on second base in extra innings must be named Mark. So everybody will be named Mark or Mike when they go to second base. Do you like that extra inning rule where the guy starts at second base so they can get the game over and not go 17 innings?
Like I said, I'll let anything go this year. Other than that, no. But I do like the Mark being at second base. It's on the mark there at second.
It is on the mark. Hey, we got a man on the mark right there at second base. Keep an eye on him. Does that guy immediately go like on the first pitch to try to steal third to get the game over with? Wouldn't you do that? Just think about that. Your extra innings, right? The first one. Picture this. First game, extra innings, man's on second base, nobody out.
If you have a right-handed hitter up.
Exactly. You definitely try to send him.
You don't.
Or you don't send him?
No, I mean, if you have a left-handed hitter up, then the catcher's got a free look at third base.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of things come into play now. We've been sitting back and waiting for that 3-run home run, the Earl Weaver brand of baseball over the last couple of seasons where strikeouts, home runs are everything. Everything comes into play. We might see a stolen base here and there now. We might see a sacrifice bunt. We might see someone, right-handed batter or even a left-handed batter with a man on second go, I'm okay with making it out if I hit a ball on the ground to the right side to get him over instead of, hey, I'm getting paid to hit home runs. Well, you know what? Home run is hit on a bad pitch. It's not a great pitch you hit out of the ballpark. It's one of those mistake pitches. So, I firmly believe hitters will be at a huge advantage the first maybe 10 to 20 games once it starts up because they're already probably swinging the bat, and they could do that, hitting off, a pitching machine where you're not around anybody now. But as a pitcher, you went from being ready and throwing your secondary pitches to sit, then all of a sudden you're shut down for 3 months to go back and crank it up and be ready in 3 weeks or less. So I think the hitters would be a huge advantage early on.
I'm sure a guy like Joe Madden has already thought up a lot of different things to do with that guy at second base in the 10th inning. You know what I mean? Like
he's wrote it down. He probably has a million sayings in his clubhouse right now saying, guys, this is what we need to do with a man on second here. This is what we got to do to get him in. It's all about the team effort. I mean, he's the right guy for this team right now. He being a National League manager, too, about the switches need to be made. Or good. Starters are going to go. Starting pitcher will probably go 3-4 innings, the first 2 or 3, maybe even 4 starts out there. So it's all about maneuvering the right pieces at the right time and utilizing your bench. So he should be good at that. He loves to do that. He even did that when he was down there in Tampa as well. So he's the right guy for this club right now.
We got a wise guy now, Tebow's Pretzels on there. He says, are the Phillies going to bring back Sean Rodriguez for the second base runner situation in extra innings? Because, a lot of fans here were not really happy last year with the manager. And now, it's interesting because I saw a San Francisco article yesterday on NBC Sports Bay Area saying that Gabe Kapler really got the team off to a good start in Philly, and in this 60-game shortened season, you get out to a good start, anything could happen on a ball club.
Yeah, anything. Anything. I mean, you might see a team or two or maybe 4 or 5 teams that everyone was expecting to be in, whether it's rebuilding mode or just trying to get himself in position for a high draft pick in the upcoming MLB draft. All of a sudden they go up to a good start, and you just kind of ride it for a while. I mean, there's a lot of clubs, you look back over the last few seasons where they started out really, really fast, kind of, like most times the good teams will keep going upwards. Teams that surprising start and then will level off and realize, well, maybe we're not that good. But in a short season like this, maybe they won't remember that they're not good, and they might continue playing well.
As a former pitcher, I'd love to get your take on this. The opener, when starting the game with a relief pitcher, what's your take on that?
We had to talk about that a lot. We see that a lot with Tampa as well. generally, my thought on that is you're not real deep in your rotation to begin with. Maybe you're not real deep in your system itself as far as starting pitchers. What we saw last year in the postseason, teams that have good starting pitching win. Mm-hmm. The Nationals, the Dodgers were there, the Astros were there. Teams with good starting pitching, teams that rely on using 4 or 5 or 6 pitchers in the course of a game to win a game over the long haul, and especially in those big games, aren't going to win. So I love starting pitching. I think it's made a comeback, and you even saw that as far as how much money was paid out for starting pitching during this, during the off season, where you had Garrett Cole, you had Wheeler, you had Strasburg, all these guys making huge monies and long-term deals for starting pitching. That's another question. I don't. Sometimes you sit back and go, how can you give a starting pitcher a 6 or 7 year or 8 year deal? But that tells you what the importance now, I think, back in starting pitching as compared to was just a couple of seasons ago.
The great Mark Gubicza, not to be confused with Mark Trout. Or
Mike Gubicza.
Or Mike Gubicza, exactly. And, of course, we just have more breaking news. The Fleer 1985 PSA-graded Mark Gubicza rookie card, $14.99 asking price right now.
Wow.
$15. You sold yourself short, Gooby. I know they got a lot of people in Roxborough chiming in today.
Yeah, they got to. Yeah. The borough, man. They got the boroughs coming through. That Roxborough reviews coming back. Get on there.
Now, do you get back to Philly at all?
I was back there. I went back and took, to see my brothers last October. The first time I went back, just to chill. We actually stayed right in downtown, and then we visited my mom and dad's grave spot there in Westminster Cemetery in Manayunk area. It was great seeing everybody. I had a blast. I mean, just to kick back, get my pretzels, and go into Del Sanders to get my cheesesteak. That was mandatory. That was mandatory for me.
Did you had to get the cheesesteak or the chicken cheesesteak with what's the beer that they always serve there? It's a special Stella Artois. Yeah. They have that special there. It's like $10 for a cheesesteak and a Stella Artois. You can't beat that.
No, that's a deal.
You can't beat that with a steak.
My kids immediately, as soon as they were, hey Dad, let's go to Deli's right away. I'm like, all right, here we go. And I said, hey, be prepared, to have a little bit. You better be ready to make your order. Out in California, everyone's laid back and chill. I said, hey, you better say, I want my cheesesteak, sauce, and onions. You better be ready to say it right away. Otherwise, you're getting moved to the side and you're out. So,
with or without is the number one question, Mark.
Yes. No, I'll tell you what. They have so much fun. I mean, immediately when I get a chance, I get my soft pretzels. I mean, I can eat 1 million of them a day. Literally, at the point where, because you never really get them out here. You have to go to the frozen ones you put in your oven, and they're never quite as good. But literally, I'm not even hungry, but I have to have them. It's like I have to have my mustard. That's my thing.
Mark Gubicza, you're not getting this kind of baseball breakdown anywhere else.
I like the pretzel. How about the pretzel dog? Did you ever have one of those?
Yes.
I love those.
Yes. Even when I go to Whole Foods out here right now, I always have my sandwich with pretzel bread, so I'm always good.
Put your hands together, everybody. That's what it's all about. The great Mark Gubicza with your Los Angeles, Anaheim, Disneyland adjacent Angels, as I called it all decades. I've been saying that. Mark, great to talk to you, man.
Guys, I appreciate it, man. It's fun reminiscing, man.
Thanks, Mark.
You got it.
Mark